Hey everybody, it's me, James Yan. You're about to see another episode of Crying in My Car, a podcast for teachers. Now, this is a good one. A Gen Zer says that getting a job and working 9 to 5 is something they don't want to do. Now, is she crazy and delusional, or is she smarter than all of us old heads? Then we're going to talk about a teacher who got caught with gummies at her job. And these are the edible kind, if you get my meaning. Then we're going to wrap things up talking about kids with ADHD. Is it right to medicate them, or should we just let them be kids? All this happening right now. Stay tuned.
Hey everybody, this is Crying in My Car, a podcast for teachers. My name is Devin Siebold. Got my good buddy, Mr. James Yan here, and thank you all for supporting the podcast, for sharing it, for rating it 5 stars, and we appreciate all the comments down below. I try to respond to them, especially over on YouTube, so if you want to chime in or had a question for us, I got you. I'll go ahead and hopefully interact a little bit.
Are getting up there, by the way.
And we're getting some good comments.
Yeah.
Everybody says criminally underrated, and I don't know why this podcast doesn't have more listeners and all that other. So it's great. It's good to see the cool vibes that everybody's got going on. Now, in a different area of the internet, that is not as loving and as happy. I go on TikTok, I go on Twitter. I go at X, I guess you say.
Yeah.
I go all over the place. I have a routine. I go Facebook, Instagram, and usually Twitter's the last one. I don't follow that as much. But I go on X, funny. TikTok.
Because you'll start at Facebook, which is light.
Yeah.
The more you go down to the other social media apps, the darker it gets.
Yeah, well,
it really does.
X is interesting to me. The dialogue is a lot more aggressive and
colorful.
Yeah, people very much hide behind their keyboard over there. But I go on there, usually see what's trending and what people are talking about. And also, I don't follow them, but I sometimes watch the clips on Libs of TikTok. Because they're very judgmental towards teachers, and it's creating the vision that a lot of Twitter has of teachers in the classroom. They share very negative connotations of us in the classroom. Sometimes teachers that aren't representative of us. Sometimes teachers that are, but they mock them.
Yes.
And so I sometimes see their stuff come across. Now, the other one the other day, I was conflicted on, okay? And it's not a teacher-oriented one. I wanted to bring this up to you. So how old are you, James, if you do mind me asking?
I'm 47 years old.
47 years old,
yes.
Okay? So I'm 39 years old.
Okay.
A little bit of a difference there.
Yes.
Not much. But you do come from a different generation, just slightly.
I do.
I'm a millennial. You're not necessarily a millennial.
I'm Generation X, baby.
Yeah, you're Gen X, right?
Yeah.
I'm a millennial, so we're different in that respect.
Yes.
But there was a Gen Zer who they posted a video, and I'm sure many of you saw it, and it was a girl on TikTok who recently graduated college and got a 9-to-5 job. And she was complaining. She's like, how do you have time for this? How do you, this is not fun. I see you're laughing already.
I don't mean to laugh.
No, it's fine.
I don't mean to laugh.
It's fine. That was the general response was, sweetie, it's a 9-to-5 job. And it is. And I get it. She's like, but she goes, I have to commute an hour to work, and I get to work and I work all day, and then I commute an hour home, and I'm so tired, and I get home and I eat, and then I shower, and then I go to bed, and I do it the next day, and there's no time for me to have a life or to enjoy anything. And the comments destroyed her. I agree with her. But I'd love to hear your opinion, Mr. Gen Xer.
I am. Well, we Gen X came from that, where you got a job, you understood that it was going to be your responsibility to take care of yourself, so you had to go to work. Yes, sometimes commuting meant you rode a bike. Sometimes commuting meant you took a city bus, and it would take an hour to get to work. Then you'd have to come home, you'd have to cook, you'd have to clean because you had a family, and then you go to bed and you do it all over again for the next 45 years. We understood that's what life could be. Not saying that it could be better, because what I'm learning in my old age is that millennials, Gen Zers, want the same things we want, but they're just willing to say them out loud. They don't accept the status quo.
Yes.
They're saying, no, I'm being serious.
Yeah.
I've learned this. They say, why?
Yes.
They say, why?
Why should I have to work 40 hours a week?
Yeah, why?
So I got an interesting question for you. This woman brought up this question, and she said, I don't have time for anything. And I go, yeah, you should. You shouldn't have to work 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. And the reason I say that is 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, 30 years ago, produced X number of results.
Yes.
We have, as a society, improved production.
Yes.
We improved word processing, computing. We improved manufacturing. We improved everything. A factory worker 30 years ago, 40 years ago, would work 40 hours a week and make X number of product. That same factory worker in today's factory line would produce 40, 50, 100 times the product because we've had artificial intelligence, innovations. They're not getting paid more.
No.
They're working more. Or they're working the same. And you're literally producing more.
You just hit the nail on the head. We've been expected with all these innovations, all this new technology, to work more.
Yeah.
Our work week's not 9 to 5 anymore. When I was working corporate, you knew I was working 60 to 70 hours a week.
Right.
And then expected to still be mentally productive. Like that was a grind. But that's one of those things that goes back to that's just the way it has progressed for everyone.
One of the comments was she's so brainwashed into thinking that this is her life supposed to have, freedoms and stuff. And I go, who's the brainwashed one?
I was going to say that. I would challenge that.
Yeah,
this is coming from a quote unquote old head.
Right.
I used to think that way because that's all I knew. There's a better way.
There is.
There's nothing wrong with saying I don't want to live my life just working and going to bed.
I think
that's a horrible way to have to exist.
We keep, especially teachers. I know this, and I love you, teachers, to death. I think that instead of looking at the pay sometimes, which is what it always comes down to when we say we're going to strike, pay. We're going to strike, pay. Why does school have to go 8 hours a day? Why can't it go 5 hours a day? And we have our sanity and the kids get more time home and the parents can hopefully have a little bit more freedom with the children. Or, I know this is crazy, but there's some school districts that just go Monday through Thursday. And I think that that's something that needs to be looked at too. I think we need to reduce the workload as a society and do have some opportunities for people to go enjoy themselves, enjoy things. Because I think mentally we're just being required to do so much in life that we're exhausted when we get home. And then we go, I can't, marriage, divorce rate through the roof.
Oh, crazy.
Because stress is there.
What is it? 50?
Financial problems.
Absolutely.
And not only that, but the kids, are pushing back on college, and I mean not college, on school.
Yes.
Imagine if kids only had to go for 5 hours a day, and they could they get the same education? I think so. I think sometimes a full 8 hour a day in school, a lot of it's fluff, a lot of it's I'm buying time.
I'm going to say yes, and I think you might agree with this point. Dual enrollment.
Yeah, dual enrollment for sure.
Works.
Yeah.
Dual enrollment.
Yeah.
You wouldn't go the whole day.
No.
You really wouldn't.
Right.
No, you go like half the time and get more results.
Yeah.
By the time you graduated from high school, you had an AA degree.
Right.
So that does work.
In college, I actually did the Tuesday, Thursday
so did I.
schedule.
I love to. Oh, my God.
It was great. And I was a better student because of it.
Because they fit
I only had to bust my butt on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Yes.
And man, I went full on. I didn't miss class. I was there on time. I was well rested.
It fit my schedule. Yes.
Yep. I was well rested. I walked into class and I went, wow, I want to learn. 5 days a week. I'm worn out by Friday, man.
That's right.
I'm checking out Thursday afternoon.
That's right.
And that's the way teachers are. I don't know. I watched this and I literally watched a person that is new to our system going, this isn't a good system.
It's not.
And then people going, you have to accept the system. And me going, but she's right. She's tired.
Can I give you guys a great example? And I'm going to give Gen Z some flowers right now. You're an example of this. There's other ways that your generation has come up with to make money. Different revenue streams that have worked. Imagine if you didn't make videos. You would still be frustrated, tired, going through all the challenges that teachers go through every single day. But you've not only found a way.
Are you saying my stand-up comedy career wouldn't flourish.
Yeah, you're brilliant. I was going to say you're the
You're
next.
saying it in my podcast?
No, everything you do is amazing. But what
I'm
I'm
just kidding. I'm
saying,
kidding. Yeah, the
what I'm
videos are
saying
what
is,
helped
man,
for sure.
not only did you get to do something that you love and you make great money at it, but you didn't just leave teaching behind. You started talking about it, bringing awareness to also help them as well.
Yeah.
But that's something that your generation created. That's a different revenue stream, and it's a different revenue model as far as the business week for you. It's not you 9 to 5. It's
Right.
I have an idea. Let me quickly do it, and let me put it out there and see if people appreciate it.
And that's the thing. I think with not only within teaching,
Yeah.
but within society, I think we need to re-examine this 9 to 5 mentality.
Yes.
Especially with commuting getting harder.
Yes.
You know, the traffic and stuff in Central Florida. I mean, it takes longer to get to work sometimes. The gas money and things, the resources we need. I just
They're dwindling.
I don't know. I mean, I think we stopped remembering our lesson we learned during COVID. Does nobody remember what it was like when it shut down and you were just home, and it felt good.
It
mean,
did.
it was like traffic eased and people didn't have that rush about them. And I literally looked out my back window and I saw people throwing ball and catching and playing soccer in my own neighborhood. People were outside enjoying their time with their children.
Saw people reading.
Reading. Reading. I picked up the guitar and I started, and then guess what else? I found more creativeness. I started producing videos and those went crazy viral. And the reason they were so funny is I was able to sit there all day long and work on my creative thoughts and go, how can I make this so funny and get it out there? And then it's just, and then we just, kind of everybody said back to work, and we were like, oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
And one person chimes in online and goes, why? And we go, what? No, that's not what you're.
You can't complain, can you?
Yeah.
Can you do that? And she's like, yes.
I just feel like we're all kind of accepting the Truman Show.
We are.
You know,
we are.
This 9 to 5. This is what happens every morning. I wake up at this time and I take my coffee and I brush my teeth, and this is and really the powers that be are looking down on us, going, keep going.
That's right.
Keep making me money so I can be on my yacht.
Yeah, dance monkey. Yeah, yes, that's what we're doing.
It's just, I don't know. So, and again, I'm not trying to say that there's teachers out there that love 9 to 5 and work their butt off and everything. I'm not discounting. If that's what you love and work is your passion, you should be able to work more if you wanted to. I'm just saying that you're asking people to conform to, I think, dated,
antiquated
systems of, hey, this is how it's supposed to be to get your money. You want to live? Guess what? You live for me, and you get your small amount of time with your family. And I just think that's so backwards.
That's wrong. It is wrong.
Yeah.
You know what?
Other societies don't do that.
No.
But I don't. Yeah, I get. You know. Oh, look at that new girl complaining. Okay, fine. But also, let's think for 2 seconds. Maybe she. I
hate to say it. She's right.
Yeah.
Why should she be happy about that?
Yeah.
No one's happy about doing that. She just pointed out the fact I don't like it.
Yeah, and guess what? You're not allowed. You don't have to not like it. But then you wonder why OnlyFans is booming. You know, it's like, well, Devin, this is a good chance to get off the 9 to 5.
I say it every time we do a podcast. I am this close to taking pictures of my feet.
Yeah,
I am so close.
You are?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's interesting because we've got some comments out there. People saying, can you angle the camera a little bit down? Maybe gotcha. I can see. All right.
How about a foot cam? Yeah. Sorry.
No, I'm in sandals today, James. No.
Okay, gotcha.
So, all right, let's go into the teachers in the news, my friend. There's a Florida elementary school teacher that was arrested for a DUI. And guess what? It was a headline in the news. And the sheriff, Grady Judd, good old Polk County Grady Judd, did a press conference on it. And started making his little, speeches and colloquialisms and things that he says. Children learn from adults and educators, so if you fall under both those categories, it's imperative you're setting a good example. This is a teachable moment. Don't drive drunk, or you'll end up in the Polk County Jail. And
wow, talk about putting somebody on blast.
When is another? If you tomorrow got a DUI, do you think the sheriff would come out and do a press conference?
No, not at all.
I get so mad seeing this stuff because I Google teacher and I literally look and it's like teacher, DUI, teacher, caught for theft, teacher. When they throw the teacher label on us, it becomes news.
Yes.
And I hate that.
it's unfair to you. You can't be a human being. You have to be
No.
perfect. It's an unattainable standard that they hold you to.
Well, yeah, especially in this day and age. I mean, it's tough. And, I get it. She shouldn't have been driving drunk. That's not the message I'm trying to give here. It's just when somebody's driving drunk, sometimes it is a teachable moment.
Yes.
And it doesn't need to be a public teachable moment where they're scrutinized and dragged through the mud. It can be sometimes, hey, you shouldn't have done that.
No.
You
could have hurt yourself or somebody else.
Right.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you, back in the 60s and 70s and 80s, there were definitely some teachers that had some DUI.
Yeah.
And they probably started drinking in the school parking lot.
Probably.
and do you think it made the news? No, it didn't make the news.
That's why that
like,
huge radio show they used to have called Drinking in My Car.
Yeah, that's true.
Remember that one?
I remember that one. Yeah, it didn't last that long.
No, it didn't. No, it didn't.
Lasted about 2 blocks.
Yes.
But yeah, so I don't know. I just saw it, and I get so mad. I'm like, that would have never been in the news.
And we would have been outraged if, whoa, why is that guy getting,
It's frustrating for sure. It's not like they were driving with the kids in the car. I get it, but it's like, hey, treat it like every other DUI. Take them to jail, write it up, bring them to court, let them serve their time, let them do whatever they need to do, and hopefully they enter a rehabilitation program, get their act together. Good.
Yeah.
Let's not publicly humiliate them and ruin the rest of their career or their life, because sometimes good people make mistakes too.
They do.
It happens.
And don't drink and drive, people.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Man, this one caught me out of nowhere. Okay. I was looking at this one, and this one, you got to be careful. 2 preschool teachers were attacked Monday while walking a group of toddlers and infants through D.C. And in a social media post, they were attacked. They were approached for money. And apparently when they didn't give them the money, this 38-year-old man then exposed himself in front of the kids.
Oh, what?
Yeah, 20 to 30 children ranging from 1 to 3 years old. And apparently he was arrested, charged with simple assault and lewd acts. And, I mean, yikes. It's a different thing being a city teacher, for sure.
And they were probably, walking, by the Capitol building and the monuments.
So sometimes yes, sometimes no. Mm-hmm. Now, I went to New York recently, literally last weekend. I was up there for shows, and I decided to go into the city.
Yeah.
Now, I went into the city by myself the first day. I had to go to Katz. I go to Katz Deli. Mm-hmm. I get the pastrami on rye, and I sit there, and it is everything.
Yes.
That said, I left, and I decided to walk from Katz all the way up to 42nd, which is a long way.
Gotcha.
It's like 13th to 42nd city blocks. I know. We're talking. It's about a 50 to 60-minute walk. So
it's like walking from the Capitol building to the Lincoln.
Let me tell you right now, when you eat that big of a sandwich, you just want to walk.
Yeah, you do.
You're like, I just need this off of me.
I need this. Right away.
It was. I started walking. Now, what I saw. Baffled me.
Devin.
No. I've seen the streets in New York are a different sort of breed.
They are.
You got to be a hardened teacher. But one thing that threw me for a loop is there was a charter school, and they were walking kids outside across the street. I don't know where they were going. Maybe to like a different building, different playground or something. There was a teacher in front and a teacher in back, and in between those were those kids. And there was probably about 15 kids around 4 or 5 years old. Now, they walked right past the T-shirts shops.
Oh.
Now, if you've ever walked past an NYC T-shirt shop, you see expletives, tons of curse words.
Yes.
And then there was a nude woman on one of the shirts.
Yeah.
Completely nude. And the kids are walking right past it.
Yes.
There's no other way around this.
No.
And I'm like,
no one's offended. No one's concerned.
Now, obviously, this is separate from the DC incident. This is somebody that was attacked and was malicious intent.
Yes.
But it was like, man, the city life for a teacher. They always say, New York City teachers get paid a lot of money. You should. You should.
The things you are exposed to.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
Just in the city. In the city, for sure.
Yeah.
But, I mean, walking in that short of walk across the street, there were drug addicts that passed them.
Yes.
There were homeless people sitting down on the ground. There was a lot of questions. I just can't imagine that first walk for the children and getting to the class and the kids not going, Hey, about what we just saw out there. But the kids were unfazed.
But I was going to say that in New York, because my wife's from New York, and she tells me all the crazy stories about being on the street in the city. Isn't that just normal for them?
You just see it, and it's just like...
It's not even a thing that would raise an eyebrow. They're like, yeah, that's a junkie. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That T-shirt says that.
Yeah.
How hardened do you have to be to live in New York?
Pretty hardened.
Hard, man.
I mean, just the subway ride alone.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's some people sometimes are worried about putting their kids on a school bus. Mm-hmm. There's parents that literally send their kids with a metro ticket, and they're like,
crazy to me.
Go down underground.
Yeah.
And I want you to get on this train with strangers. And I want you
It'll be fine.
Yeah, you'll be good.
Yeah.
Get to school.
Oh, my God.
It's a different life,
that
man.
is
Shout
different.
out to those New York teachers for sure. Or any city teachers for sure. But also, again, going back to the original article, I'm glad they caught the guy.
Oh, yeah,
and
man.
I hope those kids,
Yeah.
they should maybe have like some mental counselors, health
Maybe
counselors.
talk to someone because
just like the kids need to talk to anybody. You know, you saw your teachers get assaulted. That's traumatic for a child.
That's crazy.
Yeah. All right. Africa is facing a teacher shortage in many schools due to an increase in students seeking an education and lack of resources and educators. So apparently the United Nations has done some studies in the past 5 years, said they cannot recruit teachers into Africa. It is a small amount of teachers that are trying to tend to millions of students. It says that normally, there was one particular one, they said normally in the classroom, they would have around 50 students and one teacher, and they're up to, in some schools, over 100 students per teacher.
How I mean, as a former teacher,
how do you do it?
How do you do it?
I mean, you gotta, I don't know.
Man,
I mean,
100?
There are college courses that have that, but you're talking like 100 second graders.
Yeah.
Like,
no. Yeah. How do you keep them focused, and how do you give them individual attention? You can't.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. But there's a need of 6% or more a year, they're saying, and they need 15 million teachers by 2030.
Did you say 15 million?
Million. Yeah, well, yeah. 15 million teachers. That's what they say. So
that seems like an unattainable number, man.
Yep. And it's tough. It says the students can't learn because they don't have a teacher in front of them. And in order to become a teacher, you got to pass the test, but you can't learn if you don't have a teacher to help you pass the test. So it's a
cycle.
Yeah, it's a cycle, man. Cycle.
That's awful, man.
And they said they just don't have enough resources right now, and they're urging African governments to assess the teacher shortage and change the requirements to reflect an initial training approach to get them in the classroom, and then the certification comes later. Same thing that we're doing over here, pretty much. But I do not want 100 kids.
That's crazy.
No, thank you.
Good luck.
This one. There was a teacher in Detroit, and apparently she was scheduled to be formally charged, and I guess so.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so I guess there's a teacher that was working at a jail and as juvenile detention center, and apparently decided to bring gummies, like happy gummies.
Edibles.
Yes.
Edibles.
To her facility, and apparently they found them and arrested her. Guess what? You don't have to go far.
Yeah. You're familiar with cell block C, right?
Yeah. It's like, I didn't think I was teaching in here. Oh, you're not teaching.
Yeah. You'll be staying a while.
But apparently brought... I'm sorry.
Seems,
what are you doing?
Yeah. I was going to say, it seems like not the smartest move. Can
No,
I say
not
that?
the smartest move by far. But I thought it was interesting that it said on school grounds, and I was like, oh, no. They can't bring edibles on school grounds.
No.
And I was like, that's terrible. You know, maybe they had a medical license or something. Mm-hmm. And then it says into the juvenile detention center. And I was like, oh, that's just ridiculous.
What were you thinking?
Yeah, there's no way I would ever. And you don't think there's drug sniffing dogs all around?
Yes.
They're looking for that stuff.
Yes,
and when they find out you had it,
they're looking at you like, really?
I wonder, in my head, I wonder if this was a deal.
You think she was going to
bring for somebody?
Ooh.
You know, sometimes that kind of stuff happens.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you never know. There's weird things like that.
I'm just trying to, yeah. I've seen crazier things happen.
It happens. My old father, who I have no association with, he was a terrible person. He was in jail for a long time. And when he was in jail, he fell in love with his psychiatrist, and they got married. And I don't think that's what you're supposed to do.
No, how did y'all meet? Well, at a bar. There's a lot of them. Yeah, there's a lot of them.
At a bar next to another bar.
Yeah.
Other bars.
A lot of bars. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, but no, so that was, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think you're allowed to do that.
Yeah, you're not allowed to make them deals in school. All right. This next one, man, this is one of those, you're walking a line, and dude, I support you trying to walk the line. I don't think you went about it the right way. A teacher is on leave after allegedly dressing as the devil and telling kids, "Hail Satan." Apparently, he is a high school teacher. He dressed up as the devil and greeted students entering his classroom with "Hail Satan." Apparently, that's what happens, and he had a pitchfork, and he waved it over the kids' heads. Some students thought it was funny. They weren't sure if this was anticipation for Halloween or school spirit. Now, I don't know what the mascot is. I mean, if it's the devil, I mean, I went to a high school that had the Blue Devils.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that may be school spirit. The whole Hail Satan thing, maybe.
That's a little much. But just like the last teacher, he also had gummies. Like, that's why he was
That's
doing
true. Yeah.
That's why.
But apparently, apparently.
That's a horrible idea,
He was trying to joke
man.
it. And the pictures exist. And, it says, well, go ahead.
But here's the thing. We talked about it before on this podcast months ago. Religion has changed in schools. It's one of those things, like, I don't talk politics in my comedy, and I don't talk religion for a reason, because it's a hot button to push. I would have not done that. Like, man, this is not going to go over with everybody.
Yeah. Now, on the flip side, if somebody had been dressed in all white and was like, bless you, God bless you, God bless you.
I wouldn't even be nervous for that.
Yeah, well, true. But
I would even be nervous for that.
It depends. But there's also a very large demo that would look at that and go,
that's great.
Look at them.
That's awesome.
Look at bringing God back into the schools.
Yeah.
That's what we need. And then you have a teacher that says, "Hail Satan," and it's like, hold on.
We
don't allow that.
Yeah, we're not that. Yeah.
I
would not have done it. I'll say that for me.
I wouldn't have allowed. Yeah, but
yeah.
It's one of those things where when I don't know if you know this, but when they first allowed like prayer in schools and stuff like that, there was a movement by the free thought community, the atheists, to then have, on the flip side, satanic monuments put into schools.
Yes.
Or, sometimes they say there's schools like in Texas that you got to have the 10 Commandments up. And they're like, okay, well, great. Let's put the Quran up on the wall and have something there for that.
Because if you have one.
And they go, no, you can't have I don't think we should be able to pick and choose. I think that's kind of against the separate, again,
of
the
church and
separation.
state.
But they say separation, but it's not technically like that in the Constitution. But yeah, so what I meant by that is I wouldn't have done that, but also I go, how would we feel if it was a Christian teacher or a Muslim teacher, that kind of thing? I think this was probably more of a Halloween thing, to be honest with you.
Just he got a little bit too worked up, excited
when
about it.
When you have the plastic pitchfork,
you gotta.
To me, it's like, I wouldn't have done the Hail Satan thing.
No.
Yeah, I probably would have been like, hey, the AC's out. It's hot in here. Or something like that.
Come on in. We're going to have a hell of a time. Yeah, it's something silly.
Yeah, something silly.
Yeah.
Maybe a sense of humor was broke. So, okay. The last thing that I want to talk about is something personal to me.
Uh-oh.
Now, I have a question for you, James.
It happens to lots of men.
Well, I have a question for you.
Okay. Go ahead.
We're just going to skip over that part.
All right. I love this.
So, my child has ADHD.
Okay.
It's been diagnosed but not diagnosed. So, the doctor has said he has ADHD.
Okay.
But it hasn't, we did the surveys and everything like that, and he kind of says it's borderline how you want to treat it.
Okay.
It's not crippling to where he can't focus, but also when he doesn't focus, you'll understand. And he's so I have a doctor that is very old school, but very good.
Okay.
And he is anti-medicine.
I understand.
And I'm kind of on that fence too.
As a parent.
I don't really like the medicine. You know, I think as a society, we've kind of had that kick of knee-jerk of...
We overprescribe.
Prescribe.
We overprescribe.
Oh, they have that? Prescribe. And my ex, she was very heavy into the, let's med him up. Yeah. Let's get him medicine. And I said, let's wait it out. And so he got diagnosed early on, about 2, 3. And since then, he's progressed light years. He has been able to go to class. He went from being super destructive, like I told you on last episode, to having friends and being a good, energetic kid. There is no doubt he is full of stupendous amounts of energy.
Got it.
There is no doubt that he wants to go. I'm starting to see little problems,
Okay.
you know, with him getting his stuff done in class. You know, a lot of it is kind of balling things up, fast writing. I've got to get done. I also not really being able to pay attention in the moment.
Because I want to get to the fun.
Yeah. Now, he can also sit and read an entire book in one sitting and very heavily focus on things he wants to focus on. Now, that's one thing my doctor talked to me about. He's like, well, ADHD doesn't necessarily mean always distracted.
No.
If they're very into something, it means they can be incredibly focused as well.
Yes.
And I was like, okay. So I'm still learning this whole thing about him having ADHD. I've seen symptoms of myself having it, but I'm not going to say I've been formally diagnosed or say anything of that nature. I'm just saying when I hear it described about him, I go,
I see that in me.
I see that in me too. That said, it's come to a point where there's like some tics and some things, you know, that I go, do I need to? You know, and as a parent, you go, do I need to prescribe something? Is he going to have a better life because of it? But also as a teacher, and this is going to choke me up, sometimes, you know, sometimes we would give a kid a pill.
Yes.
And, you know, they'd, you see the light go out.
Yes. As a parent, I won't even say that. I've had personal relationships with people that we give pills to.
Yeah.
And they don't like the medication because they tell me it changes who I am.
It shuts them down.
It shuts them down.
Yeah, but,
it takes a little something away from who they are.
There's been parents, and I'm applauding you too, that medicate their kids and go, he needs his medication to focus. And he's doing better in class. Don't get me wrong. I've seen kids that when they take their medicine, they seem like they do really well.
Yes.
I've also seen kids where they come into my class and they're full of life and they're so happy.
Yeah.
And they're definitely off their meds that day.
Yes.
And then the mom comes in and goes, I forgot. Their meds. And then they give him a pill. And then I see a kid with his head down. And he's just sitting in the corner. And he's just staring at a wall.
Yes.
And I'm like, what is that? That's not fair.
That's not... Is that helping him? Is
that
it working?
Yeah. So, I mean, I just think I get so scared, you know, talking about it.
Absolutely, man. Yes. Because I think I have ADHD myself.
Yeah.
And I've talked to good friends that we both know, and they explain the symptoms. I'm like, oh, man, I think that's me.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get to the point where I'm not who I am. I am a certain kind of person. I'm joyful. I'm happy. And I do have trouble focusing, so I've learned to do certain things to get me back on track.
Right.
By myself, and I don't want to take a pill and then the light goes out in my eyes.
Yeah,
I know
and that's what I don't want to see.
What you're saying, I don't know
because I see so much happiness and joy,
Yeah.
and people. I see him bouncing around and just full of life, and he wakes up in the morning and he's ready to go.
Yeah,
and he's just like, "What can I learn today?" And he gets in the car, and it's like, "You're not gonna believe what I saw. I saw this and I saw that." And there's people that go, "Ooh, that kid needs medicine," and as a parent, I go, am I doing him a disservice by not giving it to him? Or should I give it to him? I've got a doctor who kind of sides with me and goes, let him grow up, you know?
Yes.
But then I also think, am I not acclimating him to it? So it's so many unknowns. I don't know anything about this. I just know what, as a teacher, I'm given, and I'm given paperwork. And for the longest time, I was given so much paperwork on kids, and I go, here's what it is. I see he has ADHD. Does he have meds? Yes, here's his meds.
Got it.
On days he doesn't have meds. I mean, there were some days when kids would come in, and maybe I'm different, but I would see, maybe it's because I have a relationship to him, but I would see a kid bouncing around, and they would go, did you get such and such? He's off his meds today. I can't tell you how many times I heard a teacher say it. He's off his meds today. And I go, I kind of like him better.
He's himself.
Yeah.
That's why.
But then again, I get sometimes where you go, I can't teach.
Gotcha.
And he can't learn. And so then you go, I have to balance that. And I mean, and I just wish there was some in between. It seems like it's on or off. The pill switches you.
It does.
Yeah.
There's two things I believe that people can try out there. First off, there's doctors who'll half pills.
Yeah.
It's not the whole thing. You may not need that amount.
Right.
Another thing is talking to other parents who are going through what you are going through.
Right.
Because they can tell you the pros and cons of both.
See, we've had that conversation with a few other parents.
Have you? Okay.
It does help.
Okay.
You know, it does help to hear what they're going through, and they go, my child has ADHD, and they take pills because of this and that. And then it's also a matter of sometimes seeing it in action. You know, sometimes I see it and I go, wow, it did make a good change for them. But then sometimes I go, they're not keeping up with my kid. You know, my kid is full of energy, and they're supposed to match it, and they're supposed to go have fun.
Yes.
And they're supposed to ride their bike 84 times around the block.
Yes.
And go
That's
climb trees and fall down.
Absolutely.
And yet sometimes I think we medicate, and then they just sit on the couch.
And here's the great thing I'm hearing from you. You actually care. And what I mean by that is this. There's a lot of parents who aren't doctors. So when they hear their doctor say to them, and depending on who their doctor is, there's a lot of doctors who want to give a pill for everything.
Right.
Especially on a young developing mind, which I find dangerous.
Yeah.
So if you had a doctor telling you that as a parent, a lot of parents are like, yeah, my doctor told me to do it, so I did it. You question that. And people, it is okay to question your doctor. I'm not saying be rude, not be a jerk, but you can get second opinions on things, especially when it comes to a child and medication like that, that will alter their personality.
And that was one of the things that I think I made the right call on in the beginning.
Yes.
And now I'm wondering if I need to make a different call. So essentially, when the child was first diagnosed, the doctor said, you can give him pills. I don't suggest it. He goes, kind of let him be a kid, keep him away from video games, keep him limited screen time.
Yes.
Very structured, be very specific on, punishments and let him know structure. And I'm like, okay. And my ex was like, we need to get him medicated. And then he changed. He grew and became into a kid, and through the structure and through the working with them, everything has been great. And I've even said before, I'm like, do you see? Well, I don't see the same thing. Exactly. He was a kid, and I think we were trying to stop him from being a kid.
And here's the horrible thing about parenting also. A lot of us want to parent from convenience.
Right.
It's easier just to give them a pill.
Yeah. Now, I don't want to guilt parents
No,
out there.
and that's not what I'm
giving
saying.
pills.
I'm saying.
Sometimes there are
If
parents out
needed,
there.
absolutely.
I'm not gonna sugarcoat this. There was the definitive problem child. You remember that movie?
Yeah.
On the back of the plane with me, right next to me, going to New York. There was a child with a mom that was screaming, not just because they were scared. They weren't getting what they wanted. And were bouncing and throwing things and punching things and cursing. This child was 4 or 5 years old and was cussing out everybody. I'm dead serious. I mean, we were sitting all there like,
ooh, yeah. Yeah.
And that was one of those moments where I was like, man, if that was my kid, how would I react? If they were like, if they were like, hey, by the way, they need a little medication to stop them from violent outbursts or calming them down, or I might at that point I might look at my child and go, you know what, I love you to death, but this is not a healthy thing for I think it's as a parent you just have to look what's healthiest for you. And I'm on the fence right now of mine. I see the missing work. I see the not falling behind, excelling, but not conforming to what is supposed to be required to make a class, which is sitting down and putting pen to paper and putting the thoughts. I've already got the thoughts. The thoughts are here. I'm done. I've answered the question. Oh, I have to write it out. That's a hard step for me.
Gotcha.
Now I have to slow down and I have to think about the answer.
But I want
to
the
write.
fun.
Yep. I want to get done with this because I know it already. I'm done.
Yeah.
And it's like, so I have to, you just got to decide. It's hard.
You do.
Man, it's a hard.
But you put in the work, though. I want to tell parents out there listening, like, look, you took a different route. You put in the work with him instead of just giving him a pill. And if you're able to do that, I highly suggest it.
Yeah, one of the advantages I had was I was home, and so for the first few years of his life, I was home, and I was able to work with him directly and go, "Don't do this. This is how this works.
That's right.
Please, let's concentrate right now. Let's, take away the distractions." And it did help. And there's a lot of parents out there who can't afford to that
stay
time.
home. Yes.
And so they only see them in the evening after, school. And it's like, what are we going to do?
That's right.
So,
my heart goes out to all those people going through that, man.
Yep.
And it's not easy. And the most important thing is what's healthy for the kid.
Absolutely. So I would love advice out there if you have a child with ADHD, and I want it from both sides. I know there's parents out there who medicate their child, and I would love to hear some of the pros and cons. I mean, did you see a change that was a positive change? Is there medication I'm not knowing about? Is there other treatments, things out there that might be able to do better for him or would hurt him? I'm in the unknown part of this.
Gotcha. You just want more information.
Yeah, I just want more information.
Yeah.
So that's all. So I'd love to know a little bit more as a parent who is struggling to find out, what do I do? Is it better for him this way or that way, or what is it? So I've talked to the medical professionals. Obviously, like you said, hear from other people.
Yes.
So all right, James, how can people find you?
As always, you can find me on social media, James Yan Comedian on Instagram and on Facebook. Thank you guys. You've got me over 7,000 followers, and it keeps growing. I appreciate all you listening.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for following me, and I can't wait till I'm a crying Jordan meme.
Man.
Dude, I get so sensitive, and I've cried on this podcast like 3 or 4 times.
Let me tell you, there's 2 occasions where it's okay for a man to cry when it's about their children, and at the very end of the Color Purple movie.
Yes.
That is the only time.
That is true.
Think about it. It's hard.
And for updated Gen Zers and millennials, the end of Coco.
Yes.
The end of Coco can tear you
every
up.
time.
Yep, every single time. Remember me.
I remember. Papa.
I get so choked up on that movie.
You get me.
Yeah. All right. So thank you all for sharing. I appreciate you so much. And be sure to rate us 5-star. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode of Crying in My Car, a podcast for teachers. There might be a clip up there. There might be a clip down there. If it's got our face, if it's other people's stuff, come back. Don't click on that. But us, suggested things. That's us. Crying in My Car. Devin, Siebold, James Yan, bored teachers. Watch. New trailer for Indiana Jones. No, don't do that. Don't do that.